flailed and failed. Thank you.
How would the committee feel about moving straight to the presentation on HomeIntel, since we have guest speakers?
I think you probably need to at least call to order.
Okay, the meeting is now called to order. We usually don't bother with that.
Yes, we do.
But is it okay if we proceed to the presentation first before we adopt the rest of the agenda?
Well, I think we should adopt an amended agenda.
Amended.
Yeah. I'll make a motion to move the presentation, item number 5, up to, well, do we have any oral communications or? No? Okay. How about move item number 5 up to item number 3.5?
Okay, that sounds good to me.
All right.
All right, so may I have a motion to adopt the agenda or any changes to it?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. So we are eagerly awaiting a presentation on the HomeIntel program from James Tulea of Home Energy Analytics. Thanks so much for coming.
So before James gets started, I just want to preface his presentation very briefly to let you all know that this is a program that we've explored at staff and are really interested in seeing move forward, and would like to, if possible, use the video of James explaining the program tonight in perhaps some promotional clips. So to the extent possible, we'd love to have you hold your questions till the end.
Okay.
I know that there may be burning things, and we can certainly work around that, but a request if we may.
Is the committee okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we have a climate action plan subcommittee, and we've been working hard on energy saving measures, so we're very interested in hearing what you have to say.
Great, thank you very much. Good evening. I appreciate you allowing me to come and talk about HomeIntel. I'm James Tulea, the Community Programs Director for Home Energy Analytics. I spent about 8 years at PG&E doing energy efficiency programs, mostly residential energy efficiency, from the Home Upgrade, Energy Upgrade California program, as well as our Plugload programs. So I've got some familiarity with PG&E as well as residential energy efficiency. Before that, I was in solar, and before that in high tech. So I've been around Silicon Valley for a little while. So tonight I wanted to talk about the HomeIntel program. It's a residential energy efficiency and energy management energy savings program. One way to look at it is to help people find the hidden energy hogs in their home that's causing a lot of waste and money that they don't need to be paying. So I'll get into these details. Look forward to any questions you have. So overall, some key messages, and I'll cover more details about this throughout the rest of the slides, but HomeIntel is a new type of energy efficiency program, and I'll call that EE in future slides. It addresses all home energy use. It's not just one thing. It's not only some things. It deals with all gas and electric use in a home, assuming you have gas and electric, as much as they do have. It's a free program for residents. It's paid for or funded through the public purpose program funds that PG&E collects on everybody's bill, administered through PG&E and overseen by the California Public Utilities Commission. Another way it's a new kind of program, and in regulatory terms it's called a pay-for-performance program, that essentially what it means is that we, Home Energy Analytics, are running the program for PG&E. We only get paid if we perform, and in this case, help people save energy. Saving energy also helps people save money, so that's also a good thing. HomeIntel helps to show, help people understand where their home energy dollars are going. And that's a key thing, is it's energy efficiency and energy use is complex. Most people are surprised at some things they learn. And there's usually one hog or another or multiple ones using up energy in their home that they didn't realize, and it's a nice aha moment. Another key message here is that a lot of energy use is actually due to plug loads, all those things that have plugs, that things are plugged in throughout the home. And I'll get into more details about that. And because of that, there's actually a lot of cheap and easy steps that can be taken to address that energy waste that comes with plug loads. They can be implemented in mere minutes and results seen very quickly in a matter of days. Another key thing about HomeIntel is we're not trying to change people's overall lifestyle. We're informing them and helping them understand what's happening in their home, and they can make decisions about what makes sense for them and what doesn't, and their lifestyle doesn't have to change, and they can even save a lot of energy without changing their lifestyle. So a little bit of background. Home Energy Analytics, they began a decade ago, 10 years ago, in Los Altos. Steve Schmidt, an engineer, was wondering why his bill was so high. And he had his then teenage daughter go around the house, in every room in the house, and found 93 different things plugged in. And so he set about trying to figure out, well, how does he figure this out for other people? And because he's a software engineer, and that's how he approached it. So he ended up getting some funding from local community as well as federal dollars for the American Reinvestment or Recovery and Reinvestment Act, and then started doing some local programs, one city or town at a time, based on his new software, now called Smart Audit. They've done some work in researching these plug loads and electric idle loads and confirmed that they're a big problem, working with Stanford and the National Resources Defense Council. And recently, within the last year, the CPUC rules changed based on some laws at our state level trying to drive more energy efficiency and reducing greenhouse gases, and as well as trying to use the smart meters that everybody has, or most everybody has, and helping people manage their energy use better. And so as a result of that, PG&E and Edison, Southern California, Edison down in Southern California now have a contract with Home Energy Analytics to run this program in their territories. We're also expecting to work with Southern California Gas shortly. Right now, we're trying to get the word out in Brisbane, working with your city sustainability staff to help people here understand what the program is. It's free and available, and it can help save energy, greenhouse gases, and money. The three main areas or categories of energy use in a home. It's the home and all the home systems. That's what most people think about when they think about how do you save energy. But there's also all your stuff. Those 93 things that Steve Schmidt's teenage daughter found in his home. And as well as people's behavior, the residents of the home and what they do. So on the home side, that's usually what past energy efficiency programs and efforts and what most people think about when they think of energy efficiency. It's what you're going to do about insulation and air sealing and HVAC efficiency and large appliances. A lot of lighting efforts, getting away from incandescent bulbs, so that that has been a big part of past programs as well. And as I said, large appliances, things that typically would be done with a rebate program, but you can't get a lot of the details, all those little plug load things with a rebate program. Is too costly to administer. Can't have a 50-cent rebate and all the administration that comes with that. But plug loads are the big problem these days. In fact, it's now in the average home, plug load equipment things plugged in is more than 59% of the overall energy use. If you look at this chart, the water heating space heating and air conditioning are less than 10%. So plug loads is a big challenge, and it has to be done a different way. So what does HomeIntel do? How does it help? HomeIntel consists of a couple of different main components. the Smart Audit Energy Analysis. It's a software tool that analyzes the energy in the home, and energy coaching. The software looks at all gas and electric using real data from both the gas and electric meters in the home. So it's based on the home and the family's real energy use, all different energy use, gas and electric in the home. It analyzes that, helps figure out what's happening in the home, that I'll get to later, and prioritizes a set of specific recommendations. And because we're tied to PG&E data and bills, we actually can assign dollar amounts that are specific to those recommendations for that specific home and family. Makes it very powerful for people to understand what they can do. On an ongoing basis, this isn't just a one-time replacement of one appliance, it's an ongoing process that this data is updated and the analysis is updated every night, so that there's an online dashboard that's part of the program that people can use as part of the free service, and it updates regularly, and they can look at that anytime they might want to ongoing manage and their energy and what they're doing about any energy waste. The energy coaching, there's a lot of coaching built in the online system, as well as in regular email updates that the system sends out. Also with the PG&E, the new PG&E funded program, we're able to provide personal energy coaching. So I'm also one of the energy coaches in addition to working with communities. So I'll work one-on-one with clients. Email, phone, in person. If someone doesn't want anybody coming to their house, there's so much we can do, not even having to come to the house. In fact, all the local programs, one town and city by city, that was done before the PG&E contract, there wasn't the personal energy coaching. It was all done remotely. So that can be done if nobody wants anybody coming into their house. We can tell a lot from all the data in the smart meter that's collected. So overall, the process for saving involves us helping the residents understand their energy use, helping them investigate the areas of waste in a prioritized fashion, and then what they can do about it. The analysis breaks down the energy use into 5 main categories. It's actually 5 for electricity and 3 for natural gas. So it's really 8 categories. So it's disaggregating the energy use, to use the term of art. It doesn't disaggregate to the device level, because inevitably any kind of tool that tries to do that ends up being wrong about many things. That's a very hard thing to do. At HomeIntel, the smart audit software, disaggregates to this category level, which turns out to be sufficient for those who live in the home, who know what devices and things they have, with a little bit of guidance on what these categories could include, like what you see here on the slide. And as needed, an energy coach to help talk through it. We can be accurate and practical and useful, and not turn people off because we're wrong, because we're not wrong at these levels of disaggregation at the category level. So there's these 5 different categories: always on, or in the electricity side, it's often called idle load. It's energy used continuously, even when you're away or asleep. Heating, winter heating is to keep you warm. Summer cooling to keep you cool. Variable is things that are energy used throughout the day. It's not predictable, or maybe somewhat predictable, but it's not as regular as the last category, which is recurring. Things on timers, like pool pumps or outdoor lights that you have on a timer. So those things, they show up in that category if they are happening at within the same hour every day for the past 30 days. So it has to be very regular timers or very regular behavior. Some people have very regular behavior, but it's mostly timers. So you see the different devices that could be in these categories. So we break down or show lots of charts and graphs to help people understand their energy profile based on the breaking down of their energy use into these categories. You see on the right, the the annual bill, this is all based on the last 12 months of use. It shows how much they spent in the last 12 months, how much they were charged on their bill total, and what percentage of the total bill it is, and then broken down and shown as in a pie chart. On the left side, you'll see over the 12 months, month by month, how much of each is used, and it gives you a flavor of how much of these different energy categories are occurring in each month. And the idea of the overall program is to try to reduce all those things, make that those dollars go down and those smaller wedges. So there is no typical home. Every family, every home is unique. These are a couple of examples of homes. The Eichler on the bottom, typically heating and cooling problems. Large windows that don't hold the heat very well, and you see almost half of their energy use is going to winter heating. It's still a significant amount of always on or sometimes called base energy use. The green color there is over a third of their annual bill. So that in that home on the bottom, they would want to focus on their HVAC, the home systems and insulation itself, look at that, explore that area, as well as this always-on category in green as a secondary effort. And that's going to deal with most of their energy use. On the top, the focus really is on Plugloads and other things that are always on. It's almost 2/3 of their entire bill is things that are on even when they're on vacation. And there's the nice thing about, it's sort of sad and nice. Sad in that we find large always-on use in almost every home, even the most environmentally friendly people, including me. But there's useful, easy, and simple things to do about a lot of that. It's just understanding it. And the HomeIntel Smart Audit Tool helps people understand it and then what to do about it. The dashboard I mentioned before, it's an online dashboard, secure, use passwords to get in. Every year, Home Energy Analytics has to pass a security review from PG&E to have access to all the data. But if you look at this dashboard, and the picture of the family isn't on the dashboard, it's just those are the happy users of the dashboard. So what people see on their dashboard is there are the energy profile as it currently stands, and that will change every month at the time when they get their bill. We'll update the data, and that chart changes, and the pie chart changes on how much of each energy use they're using. Trends are shown at the top. In this case, it shows the electric idle load, and they've been successful at reducing their electric idle load in the last month by over a third. So they're doing really well in using the tool. Each of those areas on the right can be, you can dive into them. The users can dive into that and look at any of the energy categories, and whether it's electricity or gas, or look at it in total. So those are all interactive to see charts just if you want to drill down into any type of energy use. You click into that area, and there's more than most people even dig into. On the left, looking down at where it says next topic, that's the educational piece, and it walks people through what does it mean, these different energy use categories. And it's actually the first thing that we guide people to after they sign up, walk them through the overview of the overall system, the different energy use categories, and they drill in deep on the top priority energy waste category. But this is still there on the dashboard because we only get them to drill down into the first one so they can focus on where the biggest opportunities are for savings, and then the residents can go back in to the next topic and look and drill down on the second most important energy opportunity for savings. Another key area here is recommendations. So this is a prioritized list, prioritized based on dollar savings estimated based on their own bill and their own usage. So if you click into the View All section, it just shows the top 3 here, but it will list all the recommendations, all the specific recommendations that the HomeIntel Smart Audit tool provides for them based on their analysis. And the more energy use topics that I talked about before, if they drill down into each energy use topic, the more in quantity of specific recommendations they'll get. So we want them to start with the specific best recommendations on the highest area of energy waste, and then when they go back into the next topic and drill down on another category, they'll get some more specific recommendations with dollar amounts, and those are all found in that recommendations section, starting at the top with the highest opportunity for savings in dollars and going down. And then they can use that as an interactive way of tracking what they've done or what they plan to do. So they can check in there and say, maybe they don't want to do that. It's, that would require them to change their lifestyle too much. So they can skip one and they just say, I'm not going to do that. They may come back to it later. But it's a way of tracking what they're going to do, what they need to do, and how much they can save, and what they've done or what they decided they're not going to do. That's all in the recommendations area. The leaks is another way to say energy waste. The leaks is groupings of those recommendations based on the different categories. So it's just another way of looking at the recommendations in categories based on what they're trying to address in terms of energy waste category. And then lastly, well, second to last, there are various reports they can look at that give them even more information, sort of standard reports about their profile, their heating and cooling efficiency, looking at hourly charts of their energy use, the variable energy use by hour, the recurring energy use by hour, which are very useful to helping people sleuth out or find where those energy hogs are. Looking at the data by hour in charts and graphs are very helpful in that. And for the energy coach as well that are working with them, is that I can spot a pool pump just by glancing at an hourly recurring energy chart. And I can tell whether their pool pump is running too long and or whether it is inefficient by how many watts it's using. So if someone's got a pool, we can help them save a lot of money in most cases, because either they're running their pump too long or they've got one or both of the pumps that they have are inefficient, and usually a new efficient pool pump can pay itself off within a couple of years, for example. So those hourly charts are very useful. The last thing is messages. So the system automatically sends emails, monthly reports and updates on how people are doing. It's that bottom section. So they don't have to go back into their inbox to find the messages that were sent by the system. They can just look on their dashboard and pull up all the messages that we've ever sent them from the system. So I mentioned a lot of what can be done are simple, low or no cost items, usually associated with that always on category. For idle load, electric load, installing smart strips and timers can go a long way. Smart strips are useful in TV entertainment areas or in home office situations, and roughly half of the vampire load or phantom load, the always on load from those devices can be cut. It can be cut in half using smart strips. Smart strips just are smarter power strips that some things are plugged in to outlets on that strip that are turned all the way off unless the computer or the TV is on. They can sense whether the TV or computer is turned on. More power goes through that master outlet, and then it turns on those otherwise off controlled outlets. So things like printers, speakers, headphones, those things that are only on when you're using your computer. Things like VCRs or DVD players that you only use when you actually have your TV on, they can be off otherwise, not wasting energy. Something like a DVR, a recording device, you want in a separate always-on plug on that smart strip, so you can record whatever show it is that comes on, some movie in the middle of the night you wanted to see. so it doesn't turn that off. So smart strips are really powerful in those environments for saving energy from these otherwise known as phantom loads. Also, timers are friends of energy savers. Lots of different types of timers. One key area for timers, well, as I mentioned before, the pool pumps and other pumps, well pumps, outdoor lights, some people leave them on way too long. Another area, for example, are hot water recirculation pumps for having water come on right away after you turn on your tap. Those things do save water, but what people don't realize is they're wasting a lot of energy unless you have them on a timer. Because what it does is takes hot water out of your insulated hot water tank and runs it through usually uninsulated pipes throughout your house 24 hours a day. So if you put those on timers just for the periods of time that you want that instant hot water, that's going to save a lot of energy. In this case, it's gas. It's fossil fuel gas energy, and that typically saves $700 to $900 a month. I'm sorry, not a month, a year. Sorry, a year. But hundreds of dollars a year just for one device putting on a timer. So we can spot those easily because it shows up as always on gas use. So the smart tool, based on a resident's own data, finds these things. It's one of those classic energy hogs that people don't realize is happening. They thought they were saving water, and they were, but they're wasting a lot of fossil fuel gas energy and money. So they can do both. They can save both by just putting it on a timer. The energy coaches, we provide proactive support for those with the greatest need, higher energy use, people that have a hard time figuring out how to use it. I've even gone in and helped people sign up in the first place if they're not very computer savvy. So the energy coaches can provide a lot of flexibility to help residents. In past programs that Home Energy Analytics ran in one town after another, about 6,000 clients from the past that they've gained experience with, they saved on average 13% of their overall energy use, which for an energy efficiency program, and knowing, I've been in that business, 13% is huge in energy efficiency, and that's for the entire home, not just one device. Just getting into the final stages here, how do you sign up and start saving? We've worked with city staff to set up a specific landing page, registration page that's on the next slide, at the URL brisbane.hea.com, and it's a short version of the real one. The eligibility, there's only a couple of restrictions. One is someone has to have been in their home, and it works for apartments too, renters or owners, because Plugloads doesn't matter if you own the house. You've got a lot of stuff. You can cut your bill even if you're renting. So it's free to all customers, renters, owners, apartments, condos, homes, of PG&E, and that includes Peninsula Clean Energy customers because everybody's getting their power delivered by PG&E. They just have to be there 12 months so we can do that 1 year of analysis. If they haven't been in their home or apartment for 12 months, they can still sign up, and then we'll let them know when they've hit that 12-month point and start them on the analysis and the process. So that's only a temporary restriction. The other more real restriction is if they have solar electric PV panels. That's because we're looking at the consumption at the smart meter, and solar PV provides production at the meter, so the meter is a net meter of production and consumption, so our analysis can't look at that. And theoretically, we could pull out the production and look at the consumption, but there's no consistency in the different the ways the solar data, production data is provided. Maybe a future day we can do that, but most people don't have solar still and can be helped by this. That said, we can still help solar customers through a related mobile application or app that's also available online called Dr. Power. And we can still analyze their always-on electric idle load, because when the sun goes down, we can look and see what's still on. And that's usually, as I said before, a very key area of energy use and energy waste. And people I know who have been using Dr. Power who have solar have been very happy with it. and it's related. It's done. The analysis is done the same way. It's just that one key energy category. In addition, for those who are thinking of going solar, the HomeIntel Energy Efficiency Program really helps to cut energy use, so you don't have to buy as many panels. Or really what should happen is that you can fill up your roof with panels. You just now have space to power your electric vehicle that you're going to buy already, or have, or maybe get that second electric vehicle, or switch to electric heat pump water heater. So you've got more room in the solar production for the things that aren't waste, that are actually productive. So this is helpful for going solar. It cuts costs and cuts waste. We also refer to other programs. We can tell if someone is a good candidate for the Energy Upgrade California Home Upgrade Program that looks at building shell and insulation and all that. A lot of people are not good candidates for that, but some are. And so we can help people realize whether or not they're a good candidate or not. Is it worth their time and energy even looking at that? And we work with BayREN to refer back and forth between programs. And as I mentioned, the Brisbane sign-up page, this is what it looks like. So that's where you land when you type in brisbane.hea.com. And the first part of the sign-up is name and email. And then that takes you to the box in the upper right, the second part of signing up via that Brisbane sign-up page for HomeIntel. Involves putting in your PG&E or pg.com credentials, username and password. We've done it that way for a couple reasons. One is it's easy and convenient. We're doing this program on behalf of PG&E. People only have to remember their one username and password to get into PG&E's site or the HomeIntel Smart Audit Tool dashboard site. So that's the way that most people sign up. But there is an alternative way if they don't want to share their pg&e.com username and password. They can go in themselves, log into pg&e.com. Down at the bottom right-hand corner of the home page is that image you see on the right, share usage data. It's called the Share My Data tool. And you click on that Share My Data, and then it takes you to another page where you select these qualified, security-reviewed, third-party contractors that you can share your data with, one of whom is Home Energy Analytics for the HomeIntel program. By the way, there's also one for Home Energy Analytics for Dr. Power. If someone wants to sign up for that, they can share my data. And in that way, they don't have to share their pg&e.com username and password with us. They would set up a separate username and password to get into their HomeIntel dashboard. So that concludes my presentation. It's about reducing energy waste, finding those energy hogs, and trying to figure out what to do about it, and ongoing energy management for someone in the home. We have folks who have been using the system for 6, 7, 8 years and have continued to save money. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very interesting. So who's got questions?
I have questions. These smart strips, these are different than power strips.
They're just fancier power strips.
And how long have they been available? How much do they cost? How many plugs do they have?
They look a lot like power strips, but they usually have different colored outlets or 3 sets of colors. It depends on the model, but they're marked. There's some look like those long power strips that you normally see. There are others that just plug in are more square, but they have still have a bunch of different plugs. So there's a lot of different form factors. So if you just go online and search or Google for smart strips or smart power strips, you'll see a bunch of them. Yeah, there's the Trickle Star brand is one that we have used, and although we're agnostic about any particular brand or service, we just want to help people know where to go. But they're just, as I said before, smarter. They have usually a couple of plugs on the strip are always on for things that you don't ever want to go off, like your Wi-Fi device, your internet provider device. There's always one control outlet or master outlet, and that's where the TV goes or the computer goes. Because that outlet is when that outlet's the smart strip senses more power than just the regular vampire load. It'll tell when you click your remote control and you turn your TV on, there'll be a surge of power going through that master outlet, and when it sees that smart strip then turns on these another 2 to 4 outlets plugs in that smart strip that are usually called controlled, or you can think of it as master slave. So the slave outlets, those are turned all the way off unless there's a power draw through that master outlet. So that, in effect, your printer and speakers and other things that don't need to be on unless your computer is on, or those devices, speakers, headphones, sound bars, old VCRs and DVD players, they don't need to be on unless you've got something that you're looking at, the TV. And so the TV is the master device. It's sent, when you turn that on, it turns on your DVD player and your VCR. Otherwise, they're turned all the way off and not wasting energy.
So do you have a list of things, item by item of what their vampire load is or what their priority levels are? Like, for instance, a lamp that's not on, that just stays plugged in all the time, obviously would have a different vampire load than something like a clock radio that's on all the time.
Mhm.
I mean, that's not a vampire load. It's actually drawing electricity,
Yeah.
but it draws different.
But that clock is the display of the clock is a vampire.
right.
I mean, it's useful, so it's not like you want to turn that off necessarily.
Well, maybe
But
I do.
But
'Cause
so
I don't use it
in
anymore.
when I referred to before the different types of energy coaching, there's some that are built in. So when the user, the resident using HomeIntel, when they're looking through the various topics or they're looking at the recommendation list expands when they click on it for any given recommendation. It gives content and information about how to decide more about doing that recommendation or not, including what kinds of devices can help them. There's in the category, the area, what we call topics, the energy, the area of the dashboard is called next topic. The topics are associated with different categories. So when we talk about the always on category, there's a place in that discussion when we're walking people through that energy use category of pointing them to where they can find out more about all the different types of devices. It's not an exhaustive list, it's an illustrative list. It points, actually in one case it points to something that Silicon Valley Power, Santa Clara's municipal utility, put together a nice list of those things. So we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We point to other good sources of information. So there's on smart strips, there's actually a link to a video that shows people how to install a smart strip. It's just been posted on YouTube for years. And so it's that kind of content, and you can think of it as energy coaching and guidance about what people can do that are actually built into the system. They can find that on their own. And if they have questions, that's what the energy coach is there as a backup for. Or we can walk them through it.
Okay. I'm just curious. I mean, it occurs to me like I leave my charger plugged in, but
Yeah.
I'm not charging. Is
Yeah.
there a phantom load on that?
There is a little one. You see, the thing is, when you get to like the founder of the company found 93 different things plugged in. Many of those are not big each, but they add up. Some are bigger than others, so some things you don't worry about. There's also a way that one of the recommendations we have if people are having a hard time finding their always on use. There's something called a home energy monitor, or it's also sometimes called a HON device, which stands for Home Energy Network. It's just a remote repeater that links with your smart meter, your electric smart meter, and has a readout. And it's about a 10-minute process to get the thing to connect and talk to your smart meter. And then you can walk around the house and turn things off or turn light switches on and off and see what that does to drop the energy use. So you can, it's the same idea as what's called a kilowatt meter, that you can do one device at a time for anything that's plugged in. You put this kilowatt meter in between the plug and the actual lamp or whatever it is. Kilowatt meters take a long time to use. They're useful, and you can find them in these do-it-yourself energy kits that you can borrow at the library.
Like ours.
Like ours?
Yeah, there are all libraries in San Mateo County and Santa Clara County have these do-it-yourself energy kits, and they all include a kilowatt meter. These remote energy monitors are just faster ways to do a kilowatt meter because it connects with the smart meter, and then you can go flip light switches off, unplug things without having to stick that device in between every plug. So that's a practical way to figure it out.
And how much do
Those things cost about $70.
About $70.
I have a few of them as an energy coach, and I let my clients borrow them for a couple of 3 weeks, and then they give them back after they figured it out. So I'm sort of serving as the library, if you will. So, because $70 is a lot to ask. But if you've got a big always-on annual bill, that's not much. You can save a lot more money by understanding the energy use at that level. Smart strips, you asked before, a smart strip is roughly $20. They can be anywhere from $15 to $25 in that category, but they'll pay themselves off.
And they have surge protectors just like the regular.
Yeah,
ones. Okay.
yeah. Timers, there's lots of different timers. My wife and I have these little type of timers that you can set them to half an hour, 3 hours, or 6 hours, and you push the button when you want it to turn on, and you have the thing plugged into that, and it'll only stay on as long as you have that device set to. So I have one in one room for my phone at night that I have it set for 3 hours. It probably doesn't take 3 hours, but then it turns itself off after that, and it's not trying to charge or once it's charged. There are some that do 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. So there's different types of the same thing. They're simple timers. There's lots of different kinds of timers. You can find some of them in hardware stores. Orchard Supply has more of these than I've seen before. I think most of the hardware stores now have them, home improvement stores. But there's even more you can find online. Lots of choices. But I recommend to shop locally if you can.
Yeah. They will get Billy to set up a display of these amazing devices at Brisbane Hardware.
Yeah. Other questions?
Do you have a question?
I forgot what my question was.
Sorry.
I have one. I was just wondering do you have any idea how many people actually participate in this program once communities start advertising it? Has it been pretty good, or?
Yeah, it's starting to, we just signed the contract with PG&E last July and been starting to ramp up the program, and we've had about 1,200 pre-register on those first landing pages. About 2/3 of them have fully registered, and about 300 are already saving energy. And so it's just within the first 6-9 months of the program, and we're just getting started here in Brisbane, so I don't think we have, actually, do we have any users yet signed up?
I just signed up.
Great.
We have one.
Usually it's the sustainability staff that sign up first.
Top of the class down there, Ron.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of everybody getting the word out. We have ways to identify really high energy users, and there's some in Brisbane, and we'll send out letters and postcards to them, as well as what the city can do to get the word out through newsletters and social media. That just,
How do you know they're high energy users if they haven't signed up for this?
because we're running this program for PG&E, and PG&E tracks everybody's user data and has their bills. And so we work with PG&E, and we have identified the first round of targets we've identified for who really needs the help is those who have an electric idle load or the always-on electric load of over 500 watts compared to an average in the Bay Area is 220 watts. So that's more than double the average for the Bay Area of electric idle load. And that electric idle load, as I said before, is actually usually really easy to identify and address. And so we want to help them reduce a lot of energy. It's a really big win initially. So, but we can work with PG&E and go down to the 400 watt level and others. But just to give you some perspective, there's in San Mateo County and Santa Clara County combined, just these two counties, there are 22,600 residential customers of PG&E that are over 500 watts of always-on power. 22,600 and some. So we have plenty to start with right now. We want to start getting people signed up and learning it and figuring out how it works, and then sharing that good news with their friends. It's all free and doesn't cost them anything. It costs you things if you need to do something, like maybe we identify an air conditioning problem, and you need to get a qualified professional contractor to look at that. So that, what you do about some of these problems is not free, but the service is free, the information is free. Essentially, you can think of it as our software and service has been rebated completely by PG&E, because PG&E is tasked by the Energy Utilities Commission to save energy. At PG&E, the energy efficiency programs are essentially a bonus program for them. They earn more money. They get several $1 million if they hit their energy efficiency targets. That's part of the state policy of trying to save energy as opposed to increasing energy.
What would a 500-watt household look like? Just curious. Lights on all
Lots
the
of
time?
stuff plugged in.
Really?
A game console.
Right, you can come over and look at my house.
Yeah.
My house is in the 400-watt range. You can come over and look at it. It's pretty bad.
As I say, there's no typical home, but usually it's just a lot of stuff plugged in, or lights left on, or inefficient lights. Although the lights are normally not the 500 watts always on. That's usually in the variable load category, unless they leave them on all the time, which could happen. But usually it's vampire loads or because refrigeration shows up in the always on category, because we count that if there's some energy use during an hour. And most refrigerators, freezers, wine coolers all cycle on and off at least once an hour. And roughly a third of always on is refrigeration, the other part of the vampire loads. But there's a lot of, we even have apartments in that list. I haven't been to one yet, but I'm eager. I found one in the list, and I was going to try to make sure they signed up so I could be their energy coach and go see. It's really fascinating, actually. Every home is different. It's just really interesting. It's like a giant puzzle and I love puzzles. That's why I do this.
Fascinating. Do you ever do? Oh,
Sorry.
Go ahead, Glenn.
I know there's, I think it's Energy Upgrade California or Energy Watch, something that will come and do an audit for a business, a kind of walkthrough audit for business. I wonder, is anybody taking steps to identify really high energy use businesses, and in the same way that you're reaching out to high energy use homeowners?
Well, just the HomeIntel program, the home energy analytics is all built on residential homes.
Right.
And so the software, unless it's someone running a business out of their home, we wouldn't be able to help with that. PG&E does have programs for businesses. There's various levels of things that help small, medium businesses and large businesses. I can't think of the specific things, but if they go to pge.com under the business category and energy savings or save me money, there's some tab there that shows all the
mostly just referring to the outreach part, the
Yeah.
identification of really high energy users, because we know about those programs and we've publicized them, but we have a hard time, just putting a website out there or advertising an event or something and getting people to jump in. And I just love that idea that you're, with this residential thing, you're reaching out to people and saying,
Yeah.
Have
really help
actual
you.
targets.
We do, and because of the personal data privacy, Home Energy Analytics has to reach out. We can't share that information because that's private information. But we can find them and reach them. And yes, PG&E and Peninsula Clean Energy also know the energy use. So and Peninsula Clean Energy is now just starting to look at what kinds of programs they can do. And so their new director of programs, Rafael Reyes, is just starting to put a plan together. So I think it's a great time to check in with Peninsula Clean Energy about what kinds of programs they can do to help outreach and not only outreach, but then help people in businesses, small businesses, save energy. So it's the perfect time to be thinking of that question.
Great, okay. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
I have one more question. What are you doing on October 6th?
Some Oktoberfest somewhere. Right? I don't like beer, so I'm probably available. Is that
Brisbane
your
Day in the Park.
day in the park? That's right. I think I already have that on my calendar.
Because it would be really cool to bring some examples of the smart meters, the what did you call the $70 thing?
Oh, those are the home energy monitors.
Yeah, bring them.
Yeah, I actually
Some
have a
examples.
kind of in line with the name of our mobile app, Dr. Power. I actually have what looks like a doctor's bag. It's a toolkit that opens and closes, like it's just full of those goodies, all those little devices. And
that would be
I can bring the Dr. Power kit,
Very good, yeah.
my
Great.
toolkit,
And-
my energy coach bag.
It would be really cool if you brought a laptop that you can sign people up on.
Certainly, yeah.
So they could come and you could help them sign up right then and there.
Yeah.
We might need a mobile hotspot again this year.
On the lawn.
I will need electric power if that's the case.
We,
if
Yeah.
we
the
can,
battery doesn't last very long.
we can do that. We can plug you into the Christmas tree.
Yeah. No, we can get you power. It's just we did this one year before and we ended up having to get a mobile hotspot for a similar thing.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
we can do that if we need to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
no,
can.
be happy to do that. And the sustainability team has already flagged October 6th, and so I've put that on my calendar already.
great.
This would
Yeah,
be
we'd
really
love to have
cool.
you come. That would be great.
I think if people actually saw it in action,
Yeah.
they would be like, wow, okay.
I mean, at the very least, right, you just unplug stuff and you would save money.
Yeah.
Just
Typically, people have rooms that they only use when guests arrive once a year or once every 2 years. And when I'm talking to them about those guest rooms, I usually advise, don't try to bite off too much at one time. Just take one room at a time. Just look at everything in that room. What's plugged in? How often do you really use it? There's a family friend of mine from friend of my in-laws in Hillsborough, and I walked around his house with him, and it's amazing how many things that he hasn't used in 5 years or more. An old turntable, an old, just tons of stuff in little cabinets. It's all over the place. People forget about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if you use those smart strips.
Yeah.
Oops. If you use the smart strips for those.
I still don't think you're on.
You're not? Yeah. Oh, that's all right. Okay, you can hear me. If you use the smart strips for those. Oh.
The mics for
Oh, okay.
Video. It's on the stop.
Okay, yeah.
Right here.
I was just saying if you promote those smart strips for those rooms that are not used on a daily basis,
Yeah.
I mean, that would bring down your bill quite a bit.
Yeah.
would imagine.
So smart strips, although I would suggest smart strips are where you're actually going to use something
Oh, okay.
regularly.
Yeah.
What you then do is take the power strip that you were using there and you put it in the other room, the guest room, where you can just turn everything off with one switch. So you make good use or reuse of the power strips that are not as smart and put them in the other rooms and so you don't have to plug and unplug when your guests arrive. You just hit the switch on that power switch. It's power strip.
I had put one of those smart strips in our toolbox, one that I originally put together. I don't know if Camila or Kima got that, and it might still be out there. Kima, I think, still has our original toolkit, maybe. Anyway, if you could just, if you wouldn't mind me sidelining you a little bit to talk a little bit more about Dr. Power, because I'm one of those unfortunate
Or fortunate.
schmucks with solar panels.
Yeah. Me too.
And ever since, you know, our usage before we got the solar panels was around 8 kilowatt hours a day.
Mhm.
No idea what it is now because the solar panels and the way the net metering works completely obscures everything. So I am sort of curious to start getting data back. If you wouldn't mind talking for a minute about that application.
Yeah, so the regular HomeIntel smart audit software and the dashboard isn't yet mobile friendly because there's just so much information. It's hard to get on a small screen. But we can do that with Dr. Power. It was actually developed through a grant from the California Energy Commission as a mobile application. And so you can find it in the
Yeah, I found
App Store. You can also find it online if you search on Dr. Dr. period space power. It shows up on the second page of a Google search. There's actually power tools called DR Power that take up the whole first page. But maybe when there's more users, it'll move itself up.
Maybe when you pay.
Yeah, that probably has something to do with it. As I said before, there's 8 energy categories. There's 5 electric, and then 3 of the same 5 are also applied to gas. So the always-on category for electricity, otherwise known as idle load, is what we can address with the Dr. Power app. And it's a key energy category. It's usually most people have savings opportunities there, and so it will go. You would sign up the same way. You could go to the online Dr. Power page and sign up, or go to pg.com, share my data, and select Home Energy Analytics, parentheses, Dr. Power. It's right above the HomeIntel one. And that's how you get registered. And then it will walk you through trying to help you figure out, and you to tell the app, what do you have in your home? And it'll go through a bunch of devices with pictures, and you swipe left or swipe right. Interesting enough. If I have this right, if you don't have it, you swipe left. I don't have that. If you have it, you swipe right, and then it helps you build that inventory of these devices, and it then gives you guidance and advice on what you can do about it, and how much it estimates you're using. The other solar PV home owners that I know have liked it a lot and found it very useful.
Thank you. That was just for me, but I think for the city of Brisbane, we're excited, and I hope lots of people are watching this tonight, and the little promo video comes out, and we can actually get some people moving.
Yeah, I as I said before, I used to work at PG&E doing, part of my time there was as the Plugload programs manager. We didn't have this there. It was a different type of program that's measured at the meter, and at the time the CPUC rules didn't allow us to do that at PG&E, and so it was really hard to figure out what to do. We designed a program to work with retailers to incentivize them to promote higher efficient devices, but even so, we could only build into the program 5 kinds of devices, and they were usually these larger devices, and so it's just limited what one can do when you're designing an energy efficiency program and all the costs associated with that. You just can't get it much, and 5 devices is not the same as 93 devices in a home. And so this is really exciting, and I'm very pleased to be involved with it, because I think it's, having been in the business and I've worked with commercial customers and residential customers, it's just very pleasing when I can help the residential customer, because it's usually things that they don't think about. They're living their lives, and it's, they got enough to worry about. And energy and energy use is complex, and you just don't know where to start. And this really helps people to focus on, with real data and real dollars, where to focus, where to start, and it just walks people through in a much easier way.
Ross, are you going to be our guinea pig?
Apparently, I've already got the home energy report, and I did an analysis of this 2 months ago because I was starting to get frightened about my power bill. And it lines up almost exactly with some of the stuff that I found in terms of doing the same thing, standing outside, looking at the meter, turning things off, running back out, reading it.
I have yet to run into someone who hasn't learned something they didn't know already. So usually it finds an hidden energy hog that you don't know about. I'm looking forward to hearing if there's something in there that you haven't already figured out. It's not always the case. I mean, I can imagine people who are paying a lot more attention, you've already figured out a lot based on past research. But
There'll be something in there, I'm sure.
yeah, it's nice. There's usually something that can help.
I have 2 questions.
Mhm.
Does it break apart the electrical and the gas?
Yeah,
Okay.
you can look at each one of those separately, and
And then do you have the same program for businesses?
no,
No.
I was just
no, businesses are complicated. There's a lot that's similar characteristics about residential homes. Each home is unique and different, but the energy categories, there's usually people are using energy in these same kinds of categories. Energy use in businesses, it really depends on what industry you're in, what kind of business you are, and then it also depends on how big you are. So there's a lot more variation in business customers and business energy use that it's hard to have one software tool that applies to all of it, that can look at the data and figure it out.
Have you tried it or experimented with it?
No, there's been enough to do with the residential side. It's conceivable it could be done, and I've heard that there's a company that may have started to look at that, but I haven't heard there's anything quite like this.
Okay.
I was just curious, would the gas side be able to identify like a pin-sized gas leak? Because I got really interested a couple years ago about, natural gas leaks and methane, because there's, such a potent greenhouse gas in cities with aging infrastructure. They actually lose a tremendous amount of natural gas just in the delivery,
Right.
just through pinhole leaks. And so we were just trying to figure out how we could track that down and see if that's
Yeah.
a problem in Brisbane or not.
Within
to
a
what degree.
within a home, it's conceivable that if the pinhole is big enough, it's a big pin, that it would show up. Because essentially one way of looking at using HomeIntel smart audit analysis over time is that it's kind of like you have a river that's so deep, high, and then you deal with a few things and the water drops, and then more things are clear, and then you see more rocks in the water, and then the rocks are what you're trying to identify and deal with. At some point you get down to being quite efficient, and you see the rocks right along the bottom, and that may be where you end up finding a real gas leak. I don't think this is really the right kind of tool to be primarily for identifying gas leaks. One primary way is that it comes with a rotten egg smell that usually people smell it first, and then you should call PG&E immediately and leave the building. So because its fossil fuels are flammable.
No, it's like the small ones that are outside that a lot of people are. So it would have to be on the residential, the home side of the meter in order to be detectable, but it could still be outside the home.
Yeah, it's conceivable it could show up.
Yeah.
But mostly more likely that you might be out gardening in your yard and you smell something, and then you call PG&E, and they have very sensitive leak detectors for natural gas, and they even have cars that drive around.
Yeah, the Picaro.
And they're very ultra sensitive, so they're constantly looking for that stuff, and hopefully they find as many as they can. Yes.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, this isn't a question, I just wanted to say you're right. Dr. Power is not easy to find, but if you, for people that may be watching, if you do a search using the term Dr. Power Home Energy, it'll come up on the first page.
Oh, good. Thank you for that. Dr. Power Home Energy.
Yeah,
For the search.
but I looked just for Dr. Power and got pages of tools.
Yeah, it's Dr. period, not spelled out. So, yeah, it's.
I found it
Thank
right
you.
away in the Google Play Store, so it was easy to find there.
Yeah, well, and if anybody's watching, my contact information is on the screen. If you want me to point you to it, I can give you a direct link.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. We have somebody in the audience tonight. I was wondering if you have a question?
I'm a friend of Michelle's, and I just came to see what this was all about.
Cool, okay.
I didn't know this was going to be the subject. I did a whole bunch of vampire switching off in my house and made not a dime's worth of difference in my bill. I got a new refrigerator, and the bill was cut in half.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's,
And the old one was still working.
Right.
It was the only thing I had left to try, and I couldn't put a meter on it because I couldn't move it. The
yeah.
plug is behind it.
Yeah.
So I couldn't test it, but I just said,
yeah, that's a good example. It's hard to figure this stuff out unless you've got some tools to do it, and this is a tool to help you anyone figure out where the energy is being used and where it looks like it's being wasted. Because there's one tool that's been available on PG&E's website for a while that compares your home to similar homes, but it's at the whole home level. They don't disaggregate it into categories or anything below that, and usually people find that frustrating. I mean, it's useful to give you a broad sense. This takes it one level of disaggregation further into the categories, and so part of what's shown in the tool when you're looking at the analysis for your home will be comparisons with similar homes for each category. And there will be most of them you'll be fine or normal, quote unquote normal, but you'll identify and see where you're way above or way below in that category compared to similar homes near you.
Cool,
And that's very useful.
great. Yeah.
Can't wait to go home and start plugging stuff.
It's fascinating. It's really interesting stuff.
Crazy.
It's
Yeah.
if you like puzzles, it's like being an investigator in your own home.
I guess just one other thing, I've heard that some people are worried about privacy concerns with, because, and I think that really started with the smart meters because it's possible to tell when you're home, when you're not, things like that. Is there anything reassuring that you can say about that?
A couple things. So we only, so first off is all the third-party companies that have access to PG&E data have to pass an annual rigorous security review that takes a while, and they look at a lot of things about how the data is handled and how, making sure it's done in the proper manner, put in a secure place, and there are processes and procedures that prevent it being shared. So that's number one. All those on that share my data area, you look at that list of every one of those have had to be reviewed by PG&E's very stringent rules every year. That's one thing. The other is that the data that any of those companies, including Home Energy Analytics, that we get is always a 2-day delay. And the main reason for that, the 2-day delay, is that PG&E is collecting raw data from the smart meters. And inevitably, any large database, this is what I used to do in the software business before, so it has to be cleaned up. And so they take 2 days to clean up the data and get rid of oddities, and then it goes into your account.
Oh, okay.
We're updating the data every day in the analysis and updating the analysis every day, but it's actually 2 days ago data. So we can't tell if you're home right now or because that would be 2 days ago.
Okay.
So those are the two main things. It's not real-time data that we see. It's 2-day-old data and a very rigorous security review.
Okay. Thank you for that.
And the third thing is that's one reason why we have the other way of signing up is you can share your PG&E username and password that's easy and convenient for you, so you don't have to remember more passwords. But if you don't want to do that, it's one more layer of security that you can just sign up using the Share My Data tool, and it's a whole different username and password.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the Share My Data tool on the PG&E.
PG.com, the homepage all the way at the bottom right.
Nope. They might have moved it on you.
Um,
Or it could just be coming up different because I'm on a mobile device.
That
And
could
sometimes they get
be
clever.
My basis for understanding is my laptop. I
Okay.
look at everything on my laptop. But you can also, they have a search box in the upper right of every page for searching, and you can search on Share My Data, and that should pull it up.
Thank you so much.
I look forward to 4 full registrations and 1 Dr. Power registration. And actually, you can sign up for Dr. Power also. Dr. Power is another way to dig in even deeper than the main tool on the idle load, the electric idle load. So it's a nice complementary tool, even if you don't have solar. It's useful for everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're in the desktop side, it is on the bottom right.
Okay.
Great. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to making Brisbane a model community for energy saving.
So do
You have to
we.
beat Cupertino because they've been really moving very well. So
Do you have
Bring
a
it on.
participation
Yeah.
rate for them?
they've been doing a lot of outreach. What?
Do you have a participation rate for Cupertino?
I don't have the rate.
Roughly,
I
right
would
off the
just
top?
say that they've got about 150 people already signed up just in the last 4 months.
Well, let us know what the
But
participation
still
rate
have-
is because we're going to beat it.
7,000. No, 20,000 homes. So their rate
lot
is
bigger.
tiny. So you get 100 here, you beat them.
Awesome.
It brings out our killer instincts. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm very
Thank you very
competitive
much.
about my
Thank you.
energy savings.
It was a great presentation, really helpful.
so much.
Thanks
Thank
a
you,
lot.
James.
Thank you.
Take care.
Wow.
Sure. I just thought I'd mention, so, we were really excited about this program. We wanted you guys to all hear about it first, but we are going to start moving on promoting very soon. We actually have an article that'll be in the Star newsletter when it comes out at the beginning of June. So
Terrific.
that will be going out, and then we'll start to put together some more online pieces for the weekly email blast and to put on social media and all of that. And we had already talked about Day in the Park. I think there are some great ideas there that we can certainly look forward to implementing. So excited. Challenge accepted. Bring it on, Cupertino.
And James, I'm sure you'll have your Dr. Power outfit ready for that day, right?
Yes, we're looking forward to that.
Funny, Halloween was always my favorite holiday just because I could dress up. I think that comes from, I had an older sister that was 5 years older than me, and she used to always dress me up like I was a doll or something. And I think that kind of stuck with me. So I love Halloween. I love dressing up. So it's a nice challenge for me to come up with a Dr. Power outfit. Thank you.
Call your sister.
We like it.
I'd like to volunteer as part of the Education Outreach Subcommittee. I'll sit down at the library sometime after we get the promotion going and walk through anybody who needs help. Or you can too. We can do it together. Yeah.
I wonder if we could also maybe post some of these in cooperating store windows. We can see, I'm willing to visit a few places and see if they put them up. Do we have extras?
I was going to say, do we have ones that are Brisbane?
Make ones for Brisbane, but that's on my near-term to-do list with Brisbane logo.
Yeah.
That'd be great, and we can put them up.
Yeah.
Make some drafts and have them reviewed.
Yeah.
Okay,
At
great.
the very least, you can talk to Billy at the hardware store and get something posted there. Since
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
buy a power strip, that's where you're going.
And see if he'd carry some smart strips to get people started. That'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. So I think, let's see.
I make a
Minute.
motion we approve the minutes?
I must abstain since I was absent.
Yes, you may make a motion.
Wait a second. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the minutes are approved. Oh, right. That's our,
Look at the actual agenda so you have it, so you can see where we're at. That was approval of the minutes.
yeah.
We did that already, and now we're here, subcommittee reports. Don't take it away.
So the next item on our agenda is election of chair and vice chair for next year. So I guess the floor is now open for nominations.
I'd be happy to do it.
I was going to nominate Megan because she hasn't done it yet.
Okay, that's good
And
too.
I sent her a note today. Let me check my phone. She hasn't said no yet. I gave her until the meeting to be able to say no, and no text from her, so I think we're good. And I would
For being here, do you want to nominate her as chair or maybe vice chair?
chair. She hasn't served yet, and
That's-
I'd be happy to be vice chair because it's been a long time since I was chair. I
Well,
got to.
it's up to you guys.
And that's how we traditionally did it, was to rotate among members of the committee. And Megan has been on for quite a while, and she hasn't done it. So if she's
Yeah, I
willing to do
hadn't
it-
thought about that fact, but you're right.
if
and
she's
that-
willing to do it.
Yeah.
Seems reasonable.
Well, I mean, should we just put off till next times? Because I feel very awkward about actually electing her to chair in absentia.
I think it's fine.
Okay.
I think she would have texted. Left her a voicemail. I think she would have. She's pretty good about picking those up. So
Yeah.
Well, maybe you could text her and tell her, hey, we're going to do it. Text back in the next 15 minutes and we can circle back to it. Just to give her the option.
Well, we're on the item now, so
Okay.
I think it's okay.
I guess we, if she declines, then we deal with it at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Okay.
So I make a move that we elect Megan as the next chair.
All right. Anybody want to second her nomination?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So Megan will be our incoming chair, starting next meeting, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And, all right, so Michelle's volunteered to be vice chair. Is there a second to that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Got our new officers for next year. So the next item is subcommittees, member assignments, and annual goals. And we wanted our new members to consider what they might like to do and what subcommittees they might like to be on. So, oh, sorry, Michelle, you can have it back.
Before I take my notes.
So before you all jump in, I will just note that your two members who were not present did send some or inform us, staff, of some of their
Preferences?
Do you
Great.
want me to share those now, or do you want to talk amongst yourselves first?
You should share those.
Sure, why not? Yeah.
So Megan was interested in Festival Tree ad hoc group, the PCA grant, and the signboard replacement subcommittee with Parks and Rec.
Great.
And Claire was interested in outreach and education.
Okay, excellent.
There was outreach and education.
All right.
That would give us too many people on outreach and education, wouldn't it?
Well,
Oh, wait,
Megan
no,
did not
4.
include that on her list, so it seemed to me like she was saying that she was willing to step off of that group.
We can only have 3 on each committee, right?
Correct.
Okay. Or subcommittee, sorry.
Right, I'm also willing to step off education and outreach if it's necessary. So what about you, Mary?
Oh, I was thinking about the education and outreach as well. I have some ideas there, but
Oh,
that
that's
I can just
terrific.
pass along those ideas. I mean, I can go on whatever committees that need it.
Perfectly fine.
Open space, I'm good with that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would be good.
I can do that. And maybe Lippman Science Fair judging,
Terrific.
I could do that.
That'd be fun.
So Mary for science fair.
Okay, that's usually just a one person. I'm happy to step off of it.
I mean, it could be 2.
It could be. I guess it could be. I guess there's.
It might be nice to have an alternate,
Sure.
if somebody can't go because it's a one-day
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. It is kind of a crash project.
Yeah, and, maybe devise some criteria for projects. That might be kind of tough, but I think it could use 2 people.
Okay.
So I have a question. Did Megan not include Day in the Park and Habitat Restoration Days?
She did not include any besides for the ones that I mentioned, and I had sent her this list that she responded directly
Okay,
to.
because-
So I took that as she was willing to step off of the others that she's currently on. She did mention a willingness to serve in other areas where needed, but those were the three she specifically called out as wanting to be involved in.
Okay, because the other thing is, for events, a Day in the Park, I have, it's always split for me with Mountain Watch and this, so I don't usually do OSEC for Day in the Park other than backing up the OSEC team. I'm happy to continue to do Habitat Restoration Days.
We haven't heard from everybody yet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just saying that that's a need.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't respond via email. Was I? Okay.
No, I just asked those
Oh.
who weren't going to be here to.
Okay.
Yes.
Clear. I'm now clear. Ross.
Hear from our other new member. What would you like to do?
Well, so I've already started to do some research on the festival tree, so I'd like to be on that
Good.
subcommittee.
Okay,
Okay, because
great.
I can go off of that one.
Well, you can have 3.
Oh, okay, that's good, okay.
Seems like we'd want 3 on that one. That seems to be a big point of contention.
It is.
And then the Open Space Committee and the Climate Action Plan. Those are the 3 that I was interested in.
Terrific.
Yeah, we could use another person on climate action.
Yeah.
Definitely. Excited, Ross.
And open space, too, could use another person.
Yeah, definitely.
So Megan, did Megan want to stay on the invasive species ordinance? I missed that. No?
That was not one she mentioned.
Oh.
So everybody think about that. If we're going to do that, we're going to need another person.
I'm willing to pick that one up if nobody else is jumping.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Our council liaisons seem pretty interested in that.
Yeah.
So
do it.
just to fill in, I think one of the first things to do is talk to the California Native Plant Society.
Yeah, I mean, I spent a lot of time writing those articles for a long time, so it's definitely something I'm interested in. I'd be happy to
Okay,
just point me in a direction.
happy to do that.
Let's see.
And then we don't have anyone on the signboard committee right now?
That's a new one, so
That was one that Megan was interested
interested in
in, and that is ad hoc with Parks and Rec, and they were open to having 1 to 2 members. So if it's just one, I think that's okay. If there's someone else interested, I think that would
I
be
was
fine as well.
interested, but I don't want to, I would prefer our new members to have first.
Oh, well,
First
I mean,
dibs at what
if they're
they
looking
wanna
at
do.
putting an electronic sign, then obviously I'm always interested in stuff like that. But
Yeah.
That'd be great.
I'm willing to do that if no one else wants to help Megan with that.
So we'll put you there. I like.
Okay.
The 280 South Hill funds, I don't know what that's all about, but I'm
Could you
more
maybe-
than happy to jump in.
Do you want to,
Explain that.
to the best of my ability, a property was sold to, a property adjacent was sold to the property owner at 280 South Hill, and for $300,000, and $50,000, I believe, if I remember right, was spent for our bicycle and pedestrian master plan. And so the remaining funds, staff is working with someone from Park and Rec and someone from OSEC to figure out how to utilize that money.
The money was earmarked for special projects,
Okay.
so we get to sort of dip our fingers in that one a little bit.
Great.
So, and there has been an OSEC prior member on that committee, and at this point, they were looking at improving the Firth Canyon Trail and then improving Crocker Trail. So those are the kind of the 2 primary things, but we need someone representing OSEC on that.
And, I wouldn't mind being on the PCA grant since I'm sort of involved with that anyway.
Yeah, you can't, probably not.
This is a different.
You drew the map, you probably cannot not be on that one.
Oh, not?
Probably, you have to be on that one. You have
Not
to draw the
not.
maps.
Oh, I
Double
can't
negative.
not. Oh, I thought you were saying you drew that map and I don't want you because you made too many yellow marks on it.
You kind of have to be on that committee.
So we're talking about the South Hill funds,
No, I know,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Um,
but only one member can be on that one. It's a representative.
Yeah, it's one representative from OSEC and one from Parks and Rec Commission.
we don't have anybody on it yet, or is
We had
Mary, are
Mary-
you willing?
Kimo
to
was
do it?
doing it.
Could you maybe, Adrian, if you've been keeping up with all this, could you
I'm
maybe?
trying. I've been
to
typing
read it
notes,
off?
and I just copied myself the table into the notes so I could start actually shuffling names. So
Okay.
bear with me a minute, and
Sure.
I think I'll be able to give you a rundown of what I've got, and we
Okay.
can confirm.
I didn't mean to rush you, but I'm getting confused.
Well, we're,
We'll have forgotten by the end of it if we don't.
we're
have it.
still short on Day in the Park, and especially Day in the Park and Habitat Days.
Yeah,
I'm going
I
to talk
think
about
yes.
the tree thing while you're doing this. So,
Yeah, go for it.
planning staff, you guys had asked, do I need to even say, to review the tree ordinance, and they're asking for one OSEC member to sit down with staff. And so this is not an ongoing committee, but we need one volunteer to work through what OSEC would like to see changed about the tree
You
ordinance.
got to volunteer.
Yeah.
I'd like to do that.
Okay. I figured it'd be you or Glenn.
Yeah.
Okay, that looks good.
Signboard, did we get 2 on signboard? Yes.
Yeah, Megan and Ross.
And then who was it that said 280 Southfield? That was
Mary.
Mary.
Mary?
Okay.
And so PCA grant, Megan and Michelle at this point.
Yes, that's what I have.
So does everybody know what that is?
Probably not.
Priority Conservation Area grant.
So the Association of Bay Area Governments takes applications to establish priority conservation areas, and the concept is that there are priority development areas where they encourage housing to be concentrated, and then priority conservation areas that are for open space. So we applied for San Bruno Mountain together with the county in Daly City and South San Francisco, and for a priority conservation area for endangered species and native habitat. And so we received the status, and a grant is supposed to be released this year. It hasn't yet, but anytime. So we will look at make a recommendation for the city to apply for a grant to either purchase open space or improve habitat or remove invasives or
Trails,
Right.
recreational.
connections.
What's the size of the grant? Do we have any
So they give
on that?
$4 to $5 million to each half of the Bay Area counties. So
We-
4 counties share a few $1,000,000. So if it were distributed evenly, it might be like $50,000, but it's competitive, so
Got
it
it.
could be more, it could be less.
So we're, based on that scope, it would be more trail restoration rather than purchasing large chunks of Brisbane acres, for example.
Not necessarily, because they kind of dole that out in different ways, depends how high the use is regionally. And so when there's opportunities because of San Bruno Mountain for us to, if we really do a good job on what we decide to ask for in a grant application, we could actually score.
Oh, okay.
Could happen.
You know,
And the city might want to leverage a match.
yeah.
Yeah, sometimes there's matching funds and things, so it can be,
We kind of think of it as wide open at this point.
Yeah, and we don't know yet. It's not been done before. It's the first time.
Well, they did have a grant, but we didn't have a priority conservation area, like
Right.
4 years ago or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see if I have this all correct. Open space, we have Michelle and Ross
And Mary?
and Mary. Climate Action Plan, Barbara, Glenn, and Ross. Side note, that committee has been meeting during the day. Will that be possible for you? Late afternoons on Thursdays generally.
yeah, we've generally been meeting 3
That's
o'clock.
fine. I only very vaguely have a real job, so it's okay.
Excellent.
Do you know about what time on Thursdays? I'm usually,
Usually 3 to
3.
5.
Yeah.
I think I can probably get home by 3. Yeah, that should
Okay.
work.
We can look at adjusting if we need to, but that's
Yeah.
been what we've been going with. Events, did we ever pick up anyone besides for Michelle on events?
Yeah, we better, because if they don't move the booths, I'm not doing Day in the
I'll
Park.
do Day in the Park.
Yeah. Good.
And I know that Claire also expressed willingness to be added to other places. Education and outreach was one that she felt strong about being on, so she may be willing to pick that one up as well. It's very highly related anyway. On the education and outreach, we have Glenn, Claire, and Mary. Invasive species ordinance, Barbara and Michelle. Festival tree replacement options, Megan and Michelle.
And
Littman Science,
And Ross?
Ross.
Sorry about that. I had that in notes somewhere, not the right place. Lippman Science Fair, Barbara and Mary. PCA grant application, Megan and Michelle. 280 South Hill funds, Mary. Signboard replacement, Megan and Ross. And the tree ordinance, Barbara.
So we really could use another person on Day in the Park.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and pencil that in and see if
Okay.
she is good with that.
I'm assuming that's just manning the booth.
It's
Plan-
planning and manning,
Planning and manning.
and
Okay.
getting volunteers to help you.
Oh.
Because you don't want to stand there all day by yourself.
Yeah. Okay.
The way we had it before, when we were in squares on the lawn, it was easy for, OSEC was next to Mountain Watch, so I could do both and
Okay.
help, and relieve and, Barbara would do both and, relieve other people. But the way we've had it the last 2 years, it's not been possible to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
I think we've got a pretty good set of subcommittees.
yeah.
Great.
All right. So,
Oh, chair and committee matters?
yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think your mic is on. Mine wasn't either when I tried to tell you.
I bumped it, sorry. I did want to bring up something. I sent you an email, Adrian. I don't know if you got it or got it in time. I sent it to Karen and Bob too, about trash on Quarry Road. I was wondering if maybe we could write the Quarry people a letter, because the interesting item that I found, I sent you a photograph of it, was a hose that obviously came out of the engine compartment of a truck. So I think it's gone beyond the usual drink cups and paper chip, potato chip bags and stuff like that. There's quite a lot of trash on a regular basis, so I wonder if we could write them a letter.
So I don't have a direct answer to that question, but I did want to mention that we were planning to discuss trash originally at this meeting and then wanted to go ahead and
Sure.
slide this HomeIntel in. So we are planning to talk about trash
Okay.
at the next meeting fairly extensively. Keegan Black will be here to talk about the stormwater program, and we can continue our discussion on Adopt a Spot and a number of other issues related to trash. So
Okay.
perhaps we could dive into that more extensively next month.
Okay.
Oh, and actually, Bob has started to make a map of that area, I believe. Yes. Yeah, the quarry is not in our jurisdiction, and so he's kind of mapping out exactly what is and is not.
Oh, that's right. That's mostly county, right?
Yeah.
Just so we did get your email and we have discussed it, and so we're working on it, and we'll come back with some more answers next week, next month.
I just wanted to be sure you've gotten it, because nobody said they'd gotten it.
Apologies for
Sorry.
that.
The actual road is in our jurisdiction, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's where the hose was.
It sounded like the trash that Glenn found was at the quarry facility. And
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It was on Quarry Road, and I think I said that.
The part where trucks drive. Michelle's talking about,
Oh, no, I'm talking
where
about the
people
parts
walk.
where trucks drive. That's in
They
I think
Oh,
I
I'm
think
not-
the
I
first
don't
100
know.
meters or so of that road is in
Well, that's
Brisbane, and
why
the
we're
rest
doing
is
a map.
county, something like that.
because if it is the county's jurisdiction, we want them to enforce the
Okay.
trash.
Well, where I found the trash was really close to the sign that says Ecological Preserve. It was a little bit past Lippman School, and it was right on the edge of the road. So I know we don't have anything to say about what goes on at the quarry, and I wasn't proposing that. It was just trash on the road. They park their trucks all the time there and idle them.
I think that sign's on Fish and Game Land.
The sign itself is on Fish and Game Land, but where I picked up the trash was on the,
Road.
right on the,
We'll bring the map, because it is
Okay.
complicated there.
Yeah, we've got
Yeah.
3 different jurisdictions coming together right
city
there. It's a
limits
little
and
confusing.
You
Private
know
property.
what? It's not that complicated. We just ask them to ask their truck drivers not to litter. And it doesn't really matter
Pretty
whose
much.
jurisdiction it is. It's
That's one way
planet
we deal
Earth.
with it.
We should just do it. and not have a turf war over it.
All right, but if that doesn't work, then
Then we can have a turf
Then
war.
we have the turf war, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
Let's,
that was kind of my thought. And the reason I had that thought was that that piece of trash so obviously came out of a truck. You know, somebody parked by the side of the road and replaced their fuel line or oil line or something. That's what it was. It was
And-
probably 4 or 5 feet long, so it was pretty long to come off a car.
and they've been, in the past, they've been pretty responsive. I've called them about stuff and they have taken care of it. Just called them directly.
Yeah, just a polite letter was
might
all I
be
had in mind.
challenging when how many different trucks are going and picking up loads there, though.
Oh, they know who
Not-
does what. They're aware. They are.
Let's assume they're smart cookies.
Chair and
Okay.
committee matters, can I talk about something real quick?
Yes.
On Sunday, I attended a Boat Clean and Green in California seminar at the Sierra Point Yacht Club. And this is from the California Coastal Commission. And this is a little packet if you take their course, and then they give you this, and it has little things to, how to do your oil and bay clean maps and, stuff. And it was
The build
really
plans.
interesting. And I think that we should think about maybe having another one sponsored by the city. I don't know if people will come. We had about 17 people that attended.
That's good turnout.
But it was a good turnout, but it would also be really good since we do have the marina. So I brought this to put on display on the table there. But the other thing is they were talking about Coastal Cleanup Day and encouraging the marina to, do a coastal cleanup. And I told them that we have a coastal cleanup and that we do the lagoon. And I'm wondering if we could work in partnership with the people at the marina and sort of expand our Coastal Cleanup Day to include the lagoon and the marina, and then just have one combined, lunch. Because many people at the marina that were there at the boating seminar were very interested in that. They're like, oh, yeah. And mainly the marina is pretty clean, but there's micro garbage, cigarette butts, little things. And those are things that really are very damaging to shorebirds and the water and everything. So there's interest in participation. There's interest in getting participation from, boaters and marina people to do the marina and then the lagoon at the same time.
So I'm hoping that even though it's not habitat restoration, that subcommittee can talk about it, because Park and Rec staff has been the main driver of what we do for Coastal Cleanup Day.
Right.
But we already have the habitat that we decided together, so it seems
Which
like,
is the lagoon, but we're thinking the lagoon and then
so it
get
seems
them
like
to
that committee should
participate.
talk about it and
Okay.
have another meeting.
Okay. Let's see, other subcommittees. I don't think the Climate Action Plan Subcommittee has met since our last meeting, has it? So we need to schedule another meeting. Maybe
Yeah.
we could do that after this one. So Barbara and I will come up and
Ross.
will come up and figure that out.
Yeah.
So we'll work through you to schedule the other meetings for the other subcommittees, I guess.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
I said, will we work through you to schedule the other subcommittee meetings?
We can.
Okay, that'd be good.
I could send out some group messages to see when folks want to get started. I mean, some of the ad hoc ones with Parks and Rec, we'll have to coordinate with them, obviously.
Okay.
But yes, we can help you with that. Yeah, and we had originally, you see the title here said, and goals, and I think that's probably not something we want to get into here, but something that, as these subcommittees, especially ones that haven't met in a while, are kind of reconvening for the first time, really think about what it is that your committee is really working on, trying to solve.
And Bob, are you going to talk about the open space conference and the staff updates, or?
One more question on subcommittees. Will you, can you, Adrienne, send us a list of the subcommittees and their membership?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
And we still need an updated contact list. I think you're already on that, right, Adrian?
I think I already sent that
Okay.
when I sent your minutes from last month, but I can resend it when
include
I send
Mary?
the subcommittee
Okay.
rosters. I maybe incorporate that into there and make sure everybody has all of that together.
Yeah, I don't remember Mary being on there. Am I crazy?
I
don't know.
I don't remember looking at it that closely.
Oh, you were?
I didn't look that
Okay.
closely either, yeah.
Well,
I'm getting
doesn't matter.
emails, so that's a good thing.
yeah, you're here.
Yes.
Is that it on committee member matters?
The only thing I did between now and the last meeting very specifically was the green business thing, but I'll let Adrian talk about that because that was mostly her.
If you like, we can do that.
Or staff?
Staff updates. Actually, hang on. I think I put some slides in here on calendar items. I don't know if there were any other ones that you wanted to talk about before we jump to a couple of new things that we have on next slides. In fact, I didn't even put the one coming up this week on this calendar, our compost day.
Oh, yeah.
So go, yeah. So in case you didn't see this in the email blast last week or the Nextdoor post, we have been working with South San Francisco Scavenger to see about having a compost giveaway, and it turned out to be relatively easy to pull together. So compost is probably going to be delivered tomorrow. Wood chips, I believe, were delivered today. We were told they were supposed to be delivered today. I haven't gone out to confirm, but and so all of this is at no cost to the city or to the residents. We have compost and wood chips to give away just in time for folks to do some gardening around the house at Memorial Day weekend. So hopefully folks will take advantage and not abuse that, be courteous of their fellow neighbors and and take moderate amounts, and we'll see how it goes.
Great.
Yes.
Michelle.
I did have one other committee member matter that you reminded me of. June 2nd is the Mission Blue Nursery native plant sale from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And that'll be our last plant sale until September 9th, when we'll have a plant sale and pancake breakfast.
Oh, good.
So mark it on your calendars. Come on June 2nd. Ariel will be giving a talk on fog. I know, and we've had some the last couple of days, but anyway, but yeah, June 2nd and then September 9th for the pancake breakfast and plant sale. Thanks.
Bob, go ahead.
I drew a sweet poster for the upcoming Habitat Day. Going to be at Sierra
That is really nice.
yeah.
That is great.
Get rid of that ivy. That's great. You were really
That is
talented
really
for
good.
graphic design.
That was really good.
might be my best work.
This is great. This is great.
So anyway, it's going to be at Upper Sierra Point Canyon. We'll pull ivy, and that'll all be rolled out. We're going to do a advertising campaign and maybe tie it in with like a star article describing the recent work done in the other canyons. And so anyway.
So that's Saturday, July 14th. Mark that on your calendar, 9:30 to 12:30. And it's just going to be great. Get all that ivy.
That is
And
really a
then we're
great
gonna do
poster.
Ross's backyard.
Oh yeah, that's actually just down the street from me. So you guys want to come over afterwards?
I have a different thing to mention. Maybe we need another subcommittee. Quarry Road. Quarry Road is a mess. The part that's in Brisbane, the Quarry Road Park. Pretty much all the trees there are dying or dead, mostly killed by ivy. And I don't know, whether the city has any money to invest in some kind of cleanup there, but it's really looking pretty awful. I mentioned that in the email too, and just forgot to bring it up until just now. I don't know what we need to do about it, or whether we can do anything about it. It's really, I think, too big a project for volunteers to do, and we've already got a lot going on. So I was just wondering if the city might be willing to help with that somehow. I don't know.
Yeah, you had brought this up quite a while back because there were some dead trees, dead Monterey pines, and those got removed last season, probably after the drought, or maybe it was longer ago. And you did mention the idea, and we were throwing around planting some more trees, which, you know, some, and they would be young, but they need to be established and they need to be watered, and that's more of a cost than actually just supplying, you know, 24-inch box tree.
We can't really plant any more trees there as long as it's as infested with ivy as it is, because I remember when I talked to you last year about the dead pine trees, but this is a different deal. Now it's the rest of the trees. It's the willows, it's the oaks, the remaining pines. Almost everything is dead or dying. And those trees are going to have to come out because they're a falling hazard. And if we're going to replace them, there's no way to do it as long as it's as choked with ivy as it is, because ivy is what's killed a lot of those trees. You can see it. So I just bring it up as an item. I don't know that we can make a decision tonight. Maybe we need a subcommittee, but I think it's going to take some city resources to fix it up if people want to even fix it. But I think it would be a shame to lose all the shade and the bird habitat permanently.
Yeah.
We're on the way to do it. It really is bad.
Can we use the South Hill funds for that, or?
You know, it's not out of the question, although it was, you know, there were two projects designated before, but it could be discussed, I think.
What I
Where does it need it most?
maybe maybe it would be helpful if all the committee members could, and staff too, if you have time, could take a little stroll out Quarry Road Park and just see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I wish we had asked when the liaisons were here.
Pardon me?
I wish we had thought of it and been able to ask when the liaisons were here and see what the direction was, because I did try to kind of ask if we could have a fund to remove ivy wherever, and it didn't get a lot of traction.
Well, I think I really just noticed it for sure a few weeks ago. I wasn't sure whether the trees would leaf out or not, but a lot of them just aren't leafing out. They're just too covered with ivy to make it. So sorry I wasn't on it
I mean, it would
at the last meeting, but I've noticed it now, and it's pretty bad. And I encourage the committee to take a little walk out there and see what I mean.
Yeah, I walked out there maybe about a month ago, and one side of the road, the east side of the road, has so many invasives along it, it's not even funny, all the broom and everything. And then the west side of the road, up the embankment, Glenn is right, it's a mess, not just with, but yeah, it's a mess.
Kind of goes out.
And the work we've done in the past is sort of,
Okay,
you can't really tell anymore.
here's the trail.
Have we already designated, I haven't gone out there recently myself, so I will do that tomorrow morning. But in the meantime, I would like to ask, have we already designated all of our the locations for all of our habitat restoration days for this year? We have, haven't we?
Pretty much.
Okay.
And you know, the thing about Quarry Road is, it's, you know, there's discussions about habitat value. But yet this is not just habitat. I mean, it's just, yeah.
It's a park. It's not really going to be great habitat no matter what we do, but the trees there do support birds, so you can see birds out there. And I'm not talking about bringing it all back to native condition. I'm talking about,
Yeah.
you know, get
What's there?
Yeah, it would be
Making
kind
it
of a
trees.
deviation from a strictly a habitat
yeah,
restoration day, but.
it's more of a park, basically.
So, my mind is sort of going sideways here. We've been trying to add to the community garden for a really long time, and I'm not even quite sure where that issue is at.
Yeah,
And maybe that could be part of that effort.
I don't know about that, because
Okay.
the council was going to look at capital improvement projects, so we had a 2-year budget. We'll have another 2-year budget this end of this fiscal year that they'll review and adopt. So they were going to look last year, and then they delayed that maybe because, not the economy, but I guess maybe cash flow or for some reason, so they put it off, and they talked about capital improvement projects in March. That was supposed to be the,
I wish I'd gone to that. No.
and they chose a few projects, a lot of them paths. They funded walkway from Tulare to Santa Clara that had been on their list for a long, long time.
Yeah, I'm glad that finally got traction because I used to live up on Tulare and that was really a necessary thing.
Right, and but they had some that they thought were most important for safety to fund right away, and they are going to relook at the rest of them in this budget process. And
Okay.
community garden is still there in a,
In a subordinate,
funded.
not
not yet
happening
funded
right now
state.
position.
but
Okay,
it's still there proposed,
okay.
Yeah.
the cost that we asked for.
Part of the deal with Quarry Road is it will be a safety issue too, because those trees will have to come out. You know, it's a public walkway and they're right close to the walkway and they're covered with ivy and it's really heavy and they're going to come down. So they probably are going to have to be removed, and I think it'll be the city's job to do that. So if they could do some of the ivy at the same time, that would be great. Then we could plant some new trees there. David Schooley planted a few, and those trees, they're oaks. They seem to be doing okay. They're not covered with ivy yet, but all the older trees are just draped with it.
I feel bad, you know. It's always sad to waste a resource.
Look at it at the staff level and maybe agendize or have something to report next month.
Okay.
Sounds good. Yeah, we can't fix it tonight. Okay. So any other staff reports that we haven't covered already?
Oh, yes. Quite a number of them.
Great.
Go ahead. So I think at least Glenn will be familiar with one of the big things that kept me busy since your last meeting. There was an air quality management district grant that came up for climate protection, and one of their key priorities was addressing energy use in existing buildings. So we pulled together a large grant application
You got it
for, yes, it's
Wow.
submitted. We requested $200,000 for a 2-year project to draft a commercial energy ordinance and put together a very comprehensive package of website and education materials to roll that out. So fingers crossed. They have a
Fantastic.
Wow.
pretty fast timeline and are expecting to announce awards by the end of June. So
Oh,
we may even know by the next committee meeting whether that will be a go or not. So very
Okay.
Fingers
hopeful on
crossed.
that.
how much overtime did you put in? I bet it was.
Not too much, but it was the majority of my time for a pretty solid week, basically.
I'll bet. Yeah, it was a pretty complex application.
Yeah.
That's how we spent the last climate action plan subcommittee meeting was
I'm
mulling
very
that over.
impressed, Adrian. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
And thank you for your help, Glenn, and for dropping everything else at that subcommittee so that we could get some input and really move that forward. We have had a couple other things going on, though. We did have the audit of the Mission Blue Center on May 1st. We're actually doing a follow-up lighting review tomorrow, so they didn't have a whole lot of opportunities for us, but we are going to take a closer look at the lighting and see what the situation is there. We also had an audit this morning with the WISE team. It's a PG&E program for water infrastructure system efficiency. And so we had a team that came out and our water utility engineer, Jerry, and I went around with them looking at the pump stations. So that has some potential for probably longer term recommendations. We did have the chamber board meeting with the green business presentation on May 16th. So there wasn't a lot of opportunity to really network with the board members. It was fairly brief at the beginning of their meeting, but there was some interest, particularly from Byright.
Yes.
And so, we're hopeful that some local businesses will pick that up, and I do understand that they have an event coming up next month. I haven't seen anything official, but we'll certainly send that around if they are going ahead with a June kind of networking meeting event to kind of promote the green business program. You may have seen that we have actually had a full quarter now, 3 months of usage at the EV charging station. So we've had some really, really great usage at the station. We did have an issue in the last month that had the station down for almost a month. Almost a week.
Okay.
And I was a little worried that that was going to kind of put a damper on some really strong usage that we had seen, but it rebounded very quickly.
Great.
So
Okay.
very happy about that. And we have had over 1,000 total sessions in a month already. Where's my kilowatt number here out of all of these numbers? This says 5,674. I actually think I was looking at this in the last couple of days and thought we were much higher than that already, even in the last couple of weeks since the May 14th date. So things are going really well, bottom line. And we're actually having a sign installed on the Brisbane Village marquee sign out on Bay Shore that lists all of the businesses there. We're actually going to have a EV charging station sign added there, so
Ooh,
people
cool.
on Bay Shore will notice. And this was actually a recommendation from EV kind of experts, not so much for the EV drivers who are probably finding the station with an app that's telling them here's an available station, but is a really great way to raise awareness for the non-EV public about the fact that there are charging stations out there. Really helps to kind of build the awareness for people who aren't very familiar and think there's no charging stations, where will I ever charge, to be seeing signage out there. So
Yeah, I just wanted to add in, rarely do I leave home without enough charge to get back again, but there have been a few times, over the last 5 years or whatever, that I've been caught out a little bit. And you're like on that, and your charge is running low, and you're following that stupid map, and you're driving in circles around some godforsaken parking lot in the dark, and you're like, where is it?
Yep.
Where is, So I think signage is like brilliant.
Yes.
Because not just promotional, but to like actually say that you have the right parking lot.
this is where you are going.
This is where you are
Yes, it
actually
is
going.
here. Yeah,
There's no like
exactly.
GPS error.
Those are
It's here.
those are just Chatamo. There's two Chatamo.
Yeah.
No, there's a Chatamo and a SAE combo.
SAE. Okay.
Yep.
But there's no level 2 charging. There's no.
No.
Okay. Are there any plans to extend that for people that bought the base Model Leaf or something that don't have fast charge capability?
You can go to the marina.
Oh, that's true. The marina does have 2 stations. That's kind of off the beaten path. No one really goes there for the heck of it.
Well, if you need to charge your car,
Well, that's true. No, they might.
You might go there if you need to charge.
Could we add a big sign to the one? I mean, I know the one at the marina was put in it as a citizen, but could we like put a pole with a sign up there on top of it? I mean, that wouldn't be too difficult or expensive. It'd be like, this is the charging station, as also an awareness raiser, and for people who are like panicking because they're running out of charge and want to find it quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, I just want to keep that idea going because I think it was a great idea.
Yeah, I can ask her, see if there's funding, because that was, the private party put that in.
Yeah.
Gave them a lease, so.
Yeah, maybe we can add to it, because they were kind enough to put that in. Maybe we can add on. Thanks. Thank you, Karen.
Okay, but just to clarify, there are no plans to add a 6.6 kW level 2 charger to the shopping center.
Not at this time.
Okay.
And probably unlikely at the shopping center. Frankly, a shopping center setting is not the right setting for an L2 because of the time it takes to charge, which is why, not that I was here then, but why I think the city went ahead with the fast charger was because retail settings, public settings like that, really is the direction the industry is moving, to have public charging be faster charging and have the level 2, really try to make that ubiquitous at home and workplace kind of settings where you're generally staying there for a longer period of time anyway.
So
Got it.
have we queried the industrial park people to see if they would be, because I know at workplaces they have those slower ones sometimes.
Have we asked them if they'd be interested in putting one in?
I think that's
At
something that
Crocker
goes to
Park.
the chamber, right?
Yeah, I think that's probably something that we would need to. I don't have direct connection with, frankly, any of them yet at this point in time. So
Yeah.
I would not have had the opportunity to do that, although I do hope that we can find ways to reach them. And there are some programs out there. I know PG&E's Charge program for workplaces.
And there was that one
name.
from PG&E's got a big program for multi-unit residential too.
Yeah, that's the same program. They have a residential and
Yeah.
commercial components.
We
to
need
it.
to, and the climate action plan, we need to pick that up again, working with the Ridge.
Yeah.
When hopefully this grant will free us up to take on some of these other lovely, lovely things.
Yes. There was one more thing that I wanted to note that actually James reminded me of. In his presentation, he mentioned about Peninsula Clean Energy starting to look at their programs. We have actually heard that the next RICAPS meeting, that's the Countywide Climate Action Group, is going to be meeting at their offices, and they are seeking input from us RICAPS members for program suggestions. So that meeting is June 26th. If you have any great ideas, send them to Karen and I before that time, and we can, try to pass those along at that opportunity.
We should discuss that at the Climate Action Plan Subcommittee meeting, too.
Oh, I
think
want
that's
to
all for
add, I've been part of, this has been a long time back, and I just forgot to say anything about it. But I'm part of OhmConnect, and for a while they were not cooperating with Peninsula Clean Energy, but they've got that worked out. So OhmConnect is a demand response provider. Like I said, it was going to be touch and go for a while there, whether or not I was going to be able to, that was going to work with Peninsula Clean Energy, and they did get it worked out. So if anybody was curious about that program and holding off out there in the public because they didn't think it was going to work with Peninsula Clean Energy, it is now. So thank you.
Okay, so the sandbag drop-off, we put it on hold a little bit because of the construction of the parking lot, which is going to be going on for a while longer. So it's going to be this weekend, so that's going to go on the email blast and next door, and it'll be kind of the long weekend. So didn't forget about that this year.
Great.
Michelle and I went to the Open Space Council Conference on May 10th in Richmond, Point Richmond, at the Craneway Pavilion. So I have quite a few pages of notes, but I'll just read you the fun facts that I remember. There's another summit coming up in September called Conservation in a Time of Change, and that's September 12th to the 14th, and I don't know where that's at. I didn't get that. Prop 68 is going to be the first statewide parks bond in 15 years, and it'll be $4.1 billion in revenue for the parks. And then this was a fun fact about all the parks, that there are more visitors to the national parks annually than to all of Disney, Major League Baseball, NBA, NFL, and NASCAR events combined.
Wow.
That's encouraging.
Yeah.
The national parks have over 290 million visitors annually, and in California, $92 billion is spent on outdoor recreation, and 691,000 jobs in California related to outdoor recreation.
Wow.
So regarding the wildfires from 2017 up in Napa and Santa Rosa, there were 155,000 acres burned, 125,000 were private acres, 10,000 were public parks, and there are 25,000 other conservation lands that burned. The good news for that is that most of the landscape in the big fires was the very low to moderate severity. So unfortunately, 5,000 houses burned, but the landscape is actually doing really well. And so at lunch, I talked to a gal that works up there, and she said, like, surprisingly really well, and it was almost a healthy thing for the landscape. And a good example is Sugarloaf State Park. If you want to go see the fire recovery, she recommended touring that. And natives are coming back, and so the landscape's doing pretty good. So the other response they had is they said to have advice, have ideas teed up in case of a disaster in your area, because the money is going to rain down right after disaster. So if you have programs in mind that you want to roll out, it might be a good time to have them ready because that's not what you're concentrating on post-disaster, but that's when the money shows up.
Right.
So the other fun facts, I didn't realize this. There are 4.8 million acres in the 10 Bay Area counties, and 3.3 million of those are natural land. So that is a higher number than I would have thought. Anyway, quite a few pages. It was a really fascinating conference, and I sent everybody an email right before the meeting. There was a journalism roundtable, and they listed, I don't know, almost like 10 independent environmental news sites, and I hadn't heard of any of them, and they all seem pretty good. I breezed through them today, and so I shared those with everybody because,
Oh, great.
yeah, the ones from Stanford especially, it's like a collection of, just good verified journalists. So that was my takeaways. Oh, one last one. The first California state park bond was for $6 million in 1928. And the last way to end it is, billions of small unsustainable actions created the climate change, and so billions of small sustained actions will help solve it.
Thank you very much.
And we also went around and looked at all of the different displays and people who were there. And we made contact with the California Invasive Plant Council.
Oh, good.
And so I have her card, and we're going to ask her to, we sort of talked with her about what are they already doing, do they have legislation that people are writing and stuff like that. So she's
Great.
going to follow up with us. I don't know if she has yet or not, but I have her card, and Bob has her card, and we're going to reach out.
Good.
So it was really an interesting,
Yeah.
good day.
I really hope they're going to do something about invasive species because it's really, think about a city like Brisbane, as small as it is, and writing an invasive plant ordinance for this city is really going to be tough. So I think pursuing it at the state level with them, and then maybe recommending it to that, there ought to be a law. Thing of Jerry Hills, and when is that, January? That might be the time to put it forward, but I think checking with them first is the way to go.
They did talk about how, in the ranching section, some of the other things about how the invasives have really taken over a lot of grazing land. There was that one presentation that they showed that.
Yeah, there's a lot of rewarding presentations, like the Malt Marin Area Land Trust, and they went to ranches in like the 90s and said, hey, your land's all in bad shape, and here's what you can do different, and said pictures from 1990 to now, and restoring all the watersheds and waterways. And so there's a lot of positive stuff with all the forward-thinking practices and organizations in the Bay Area, and it's pretty uplifting. And so, yeah, but I've got all that literature, so we'll dig into that and reach out.
Cool. Great. Thank you.
You guys covered, you brought up, or most everything's been covered. I just wanted to mention that we'll
It
probably have,
doesn't sound like your mic's on.
it is on, I think
Okay,
we're sharing, so.
okay.
The acres vegetation management, I think we'll be bringing that next meeting. We're going to meet with the contractor and past staff, Fred Smith, and have a plan for you guys to review.
Great.
June 27th.
So, just to bring up item, in your bylaws, it says that the committee would need to vote to change the regular meeting date or time. And the staff is interested in moving, not next month, but the month after, moving to the third Wednesday, so for July. So we're going to put it on the agenda for next time. People had problems with this one or the one in June, but now that we're projecting a couple months out, we hope that we can meet on the third Wednesday. It gives us a break between other committee meetings, so.
Yeah, I don't think it's
I
a
think-
problem for me.
But I think
Fine with me.
we need to agendize it and you need to
Yeah.
vote, so we'll do
That's the date it was when I joined the committee
Right.
12 years ago.
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're
Right,
just
so it's
we're
our
just going
original-
back to the way things used to be.
yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Great. Any other business? I think we're done. Is there a motion? Anything
Motion
else?
to adjourn.
Is this all?
Adrian looks like she's getting ready to say something.
No, just don't get up and run out yet because Caroline has asked that we take a committee photo, and unfortunately, only 5 of 7 are here, but we're going to take it anyway because she really wants to use them for some community promotions. So don't move. I'm going to come take your photo after you officially adjourn and we stop the video.
Okay.
Okay, yes, you can do that.
Is this your artwork too? No? Okay.
Something I found in clip art, I think.
I like it.
Okay, so move to adjourn.
Suitably, yes, please. May we have a
Seconded.
motion?
Oh,
Second.
So moved.
All in favor?
aye.
All right, the meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody, and thanks again, James, for coming.
That was really good.
appreciate it.
Thanks for coming.
Really, I'm going to go home like on a treasure hunt and map.